everybody, this is Pokenixie, and this is the first video on my channel. Things you should know about me, well, I'm an artist, I'm from Poland, and I like Pokemon. Of course, come on, where are you now? Anyways, I've been very much inspired by Subjectively and True Green 7 to create my own region. And I realized that besides, Jokemon that I found on the internet and some white eagles, there aren't really many Polish Pokemon. And that's quite sad. So I decided, you know what? I'll create a Poland-based region. I still don't have a name for it, but maybe we can come up with it together. How about that? So, for starters, I decided to create 3 Pokemon based on Polish legends, but specifically legends from Warsaw. 2 of them are the most popular, but there's one that is less popular, and we'll get into that. For now, let's focus on probably one of the most popular ones, about our Basilisk. This story has many versions, but here's one I know from my childhood. A long time ago in Warsaw, lived an armorer called Melchior. He was known for making very shiny shields, and I suppose you already know where this is going. A basilisk, and of course... yeah. Anyways, Melchior had 2 children that he loved with his whole heart. One day there was an event where all kinds of jugglers and artists were performing, and the kids wanted to go, so Melchior let them. However, he warned them about the place where lives the infamous Basilisk, which is technically a cockatrice, but we all call it Basilisk because Poles are weird like that. Don't question us. Anyways, it lived in a basement of a tenement on a crooked wheel, so the kids knew what place to avoid. At some point during the event, the kids saw one of the artists go down to the basement, so naturally, the little idiots followed him and witnessed him getting turned into stone by the basilisk's stare. The kiddos hid somewhere and waited for help because they couldn't pass that monster by. When it got dark, Melchior started worrying and went to the town square to check up on his kids. By the time he got there, a whole crowd formed around the entrance of the tenement's basement, saying something about an artist and a couple of kids who went down there. Melchior figured it must have been his kids, so he wore his best armor and the shiniest of shields, and he went there to save his kiddos. And just like that, the basilisk saw its own reflection in the shield and turned itself into stone. And here you go, there's your happy ending. So for the basilisk, I decided to make a fire starter. His name is Basitris, a Pokemon cockatrice. Very playful Pokemon, often likes getting itself into some shenanigans, loves scare-pranking people and other Pokemon when they expected the least. Despite its outgoing nature, it's mostly introverted. Basitris likes to hide in dark, secluded areas, especially caverns when it's in the wild, or basements when domesticated. While taking its time alone, it hates to be interrupted and can even attack without warning. So here you go. I really hope you like Basitris. Now let's move on to our next Pokemon, or rather, our next legend. So, Warsaw used to be a fisherman's town, and according to the legend, the waters were filled with golden-haired sirens during those times. One of the sirens decided to travel from the Baltic Sea up the Vistula River, which is the biggest river in Poland that cuts right through the middle of the entire country, and of course it passes Warsaw by. She decided to stop by Warsaw shore to rest, and she was absolutely enamored by the views she saw there, so she decided she would live here. The fishermen didn't like her though, and she would steal fish from their nets and scare more fish away. Although when they wanted to kill her, she started singing a beautiful song about the Vistula River. Sirens, I never got them really. But anyways, the fisherman got moved by her song and spared her. All was fine and dandy, until some greedy trader figured he would use her for profit and make her sing on the town squares. He tricked the siren and locked her in a wooden crate. However, a son of one fisherman heard her cries, so he got his buddies, released her from the crate, and in a typical Polish fashion, they beat the guy up. Yep. As we do, you know. In return, the siren promised to protect their town and warn them of incoming dangers. And yeah, I mean, look at her. She's quite popular, and she's literally in the Warsaw's coat of arms, so yeah, she's a big deal. Let me tell you. So yeah, on this legend, I based Salvaren, a Pokemon siren. A loyal and protective Pokemon with a beautiful voice. Seems to be airheaded at times because it's often enamored by its surroundings. Sometimes it gets itself in trouble for being very naive and trusting of people who might want to use it for profit, because Salvaren's singing cannot go unnoticed. Besides that, it's a master of sensing danger and will definitely warn its companions whenever something bad is coming. By the way, her name was inspired by another legend about a different siren called Sava, who fell in love with a fisherman called Vars. Get it? Vars and Sava? Like Warsaw? Like, you know, Warsaw? Yeah, that's where allegedly, and I mean allegedly, Warsaw got its name from, but I digress. Now let's move on to a lesser known legend, which is... yeah, I don't like it personally. That's why at first it was very difficult for me to come up with a Pokemon design. But in the end, I really like what I did with this Pokemon. But first, of course, let's talk about the legend. Alright, so this one is very long, so I'll try my best to keep it short and sweet for you. This means I'll cut down on some less important details, so just so you know. Okay, there was Sędzimir, who was a honey hunter. He had a wife and 2 kids called Milena and Gniewek, and one day Sędzimir caught a honey thief. He brought him to court, and the verdict was so severe that the thief decided to take revenge on Sędzimir. So basically he burnt his whole house down. Yay! Sędzimir managed to save his family, but unfortunately passed away from the wounds. Later on, his wife died from a broken heart, you know, like women do. Either way, the older sis, Milena, had to take care of her younger brother, Gniewek, and she sucked at it so bad that the kiddo basically escaped to the woods and got adopted by bears. Later on, he got found by a prince with his wife who went hunting. They wanted to kill the bears, but Gniewek protected them as his own family. And the royals were so moved by his good heart that they adopted him against his will. Yay! While he was growing up there, his sister lived with some old woman who knew a lot about herbs and medicine, but that's not important, so let's get back to Gniewek. As an adult, handsome man, he fell in love with a girl called Jadwiga, but he was too shy to confess his love to her. He moved around for so long that when he finally found the courage to ask her out, he saw her get married with some other dude. Gniewek was so broken-hearted that in a dramatic romantic fashion he freaking died on the street. But as he was dying, Milena finally found him and told him, "Hey, what's up, bro? So you're not dying on me, bro. You're gonna sleep as a stone statue until you find true love, alright, mate? Sweet, now you're a stone bear." And that's it. You can probably tell I hate the story, right? So let's move on to Adorsa. Adorsa, Pokemon Bear Imposter. Adores joining bear Pokemon to keep them company, but also use them as a protection. Despite looking like a bear itself, in fact, it's just a gremlin who uses fruit-bearing bushes as their disguise. Because it adapted so well, nobody no longer knows how it looks like in reality. Some speculate that the bushes just became a part of its body. Adorsa is very affectionate in nature, and it's easy to break its heart. Very prone to jealousy. And those are the starters! I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you can join me on this journey to create a Poland-based region. Because, you know, we have such a vast and expansive history full of legends, full of creatures and history, and just... It just asks for something to be done about it, you know? That's why we need a Poland-based region. Anyways, like and subscribe, and yeah, join me on the journey. Here's my socials, and goodbye.